I do love YouTube's live streaming. It's so user-friendly. I do wonder how many people have sat at a desk after hitting go live in their streaming software, then have proceeded to talk to themselves for a good 10 minutes, wondering why the hell no one's turned up, before they've realised that you've got to actually go into YouTube's new flipping interface and press another go live button. I did this last week. I don't know why I forgot. Probably because it's not very intuitive and you just wouldn't expect it to do that, but that's YouTube for you, mate. That's YouTube for you. Right, let's get myself set up. I know what I'm doing. Wait for some people to roll in. Apparently YouTube's notifications are working. They're being sent out. So let's wait for some participants to roll in. I need to pop the chat out so I can see what I'm doing, and then get my screen all set up. Jeff, mate, you got a reminder, and here you are. Yes, mate, yes. Thank God for that. Much better. So the difference with this one is this is a public live stream. Everyone can be here. Everyone can attend. This is a public one, but members only chat. Hi, boy. Yes. Hello is the message supposed to be displayed below. What message? I think so. Widget will... Oh, that one. No. That's meant to automatically connect when the live stream starts. Jesus Christ. This is Pro Streaming Services brought to you by DFI. Right, where is it? If I look that way, I think I've mentioned this before, I look that way, I'm looking at a TV. That's where my streaming layout is. So it's this thing here. So the thing that's supposed to automatically connect, I've got to tell it to connect. Source automatic. Widget will automatically connect once the stream is live. Evidently, mate, you haven't done that though, have you? Oh, there it is. Right, connected. Right, I'm gonna play a jingle. Let us know if you hear this.
Thanks for watching the video.
Did you get that audio? Thanks for watching the video. I need to know if you heard that, because I need to know audio's going out. Yep. Yes. Hey, I was mocking myself, saying this is not a professional setup, but I underestimate myself at times. Sometimes I think I don't know what I'm doing, but deep down, there's just a hidden sub-layer of utter, undiluted, unadulterated genius at an untapped level. So yes, right. So what I need to do, the chat interaction and the viewing statistics will probably be wildly out of whack, because yeah, it's public viewing and chat interaction is separated. So how do I see where the viewing statistics are? That's another thing I need to... I tell you what, it's bloody analytics. Current, there we go. Current viewers, 21, mate. That's not bad, mate. Not bad at all. So what we'll do, we'll wait another 10 minutes or something for people to roll in. You can't really expect, it's like, what, it's 4 o'clock in the UK. Some people are probably still at work or leaving work or finishing work or whatever. I can't really just expect people to drop what they're doing and just like, oh, it's a live stream. I'm right at my computer. I am, because I practically live at a computer, but can't expect everyone to just be here and think, oh, yeah, I'll sit on that. You know, they've got to get here and then switch on. So I'll give people 10, 15 minutes to roll in. There's a severe lack of social distancing. Don't mind them. Yeah. It does seem a bit busy in there, doesn't it? I wonder what they're talking about. It's a bit grainy as well. I think my key settings are a bit off. What's going on? I said, hey. Get this grain out of my face. That's a bit better, isn't it? It's a balance, this chroma key nonsense, between grain, like whee, like that, and then reducing the grain, and then having fringes around my head for some reason. I don't know why it's got to be a compromise, but yeah, don't mind them. They're just kicking it in the background because I googled image support desk and that came up. I paid the copyright owner the rights to use that image, of course, and it just looked an appropriate office background for a support desk live stream. But they look busy. I thought I'd just let them crack on and make me look important because I'm sitting here as the gaffer at the front. Starting a new Inventor model project, a Lego crane. I'll tell you something I came across that was interesting, which I had no idea existed. There was a project that Mecha Bricks or something. Was it Mecha Bricks? I assume if you're at Lego, you've probably heard of it. I think it's Mecha Bricks. Well, dig it up on LinkedIn. Someone tagged me in a post with it in, and I keep getting someone keeps liking it, and then it keeps popping up over and over and over again. Of course, now that I want to find it, I'm not going to be able to find it. Mecha Bricks, yeah, that was it. Yeah. Apparently I don't know what it is, but apparently someone builds models, 3D models, out of pretendy 3D model Lego blocks. And it was Pascal, who was the VRED guy, product manager, Pascal guy. He downloaded the Bugatti Veyron Mecha Bricks Lego car, put it in the VRED, and it looked pretty awesome, like. Gaffer at the front in full saturation. Hey, you got to stand out, mate. Stand out from the crowd. I saw your note on the best laptops for Inventor nuts. I just bought 2 last week. Not Xeon, not RTX. To be honest, for that laptop that I just did the video on, the only reason I went with Xeon and RTX is because it's for an engineering office, and I've said this since day one of doing hardware on the channel. If I'm buying a laptop for me to use at home, and it's a hybrid laptop for me doing a bit of work for myself, but also I'm kind of doing other things like maybe games or whatever you do with your laptop at home, I wouldn't put a Xeon in an RTX or a Quadro in, but because this is to hand over to engineers and it's their work laptop, it's owned by the business, they shouldn't be using it for anything else other than Inventor and AutoCAD. Then it's Xeons and Quadros all the way. And the only reason for that is, I'm just repeating stuff I've said in the past, but it's fine. It's years old information, but Xeons are objectively more reliable. They go through a more stringent QA process in Intel than the Core line. They've got better thermal management, or so I've heard they have. They're designed to be run for longer periods of time, to have a bigger uptime on them. So it's just a more reliable processor overall. It's designed to be put in servers and workstations. And for the Quadro line, the Quadro cards are the same chips as GeForce chips. You know, it's the same physical product. It's on the same architecture as the GeForce silicon. It's exactly the same stuff. There's no super magic sauce inside a Quadro card that makes it any more powerful when you're doing anything really for graphics. It's the driver support that's what we pay for. So, for example, there's one Quadro card in existence for an RTX 4000. If you want to put if you go to Dell and you say, right, I want to spend $500 or £500 on a graphics card. You're right, okay, you'll get the Quadro RTX 3000 for that. There's only one Quadro RTX 3000 in existence. There's only one variation of it, that's it. Whereas there's probably 3 dozen different GeForce RTX 2060s. So there's only one variation, that's it. And then there's one driver for it. There's different versions of the driver, different iterations of it, but there's really just one driver, one product. And then the software vendors, the likes of Autodesk, SolidWorks, PTC, they can all test that one product and a driver version and make sure that their product works with that combination. And that's kind of where the value of Quadro comes in. And what's good for people like myself is that, okay, it's more expensive, it doesn't perform any better, but I know that if I hand over that laptop to our company and it goes wrong, or if it crashes, or if the engineers complain, I can say, well, you were given the most reliable products on the market today. If the CPU goes pop, if the graphics card sets on fire, if it fails after 6 months because the engineer thinks they're overusing it. Well, I was doing quite a lot of rendering. I was doing, we were doing this project where we're doing a lot of simulation, and it was hammering the CPU. And I just think these laptops couldn't cope with it. I think we were given laptops that couldn't handle it. I can say, well, actually, mate, you were given the best on the market, and I'm kind of covered for that. And that's kind of my stand on that. But at the same time, not giving them anything which is substandard. And that's where that laptop today came in. It runs at 5 gigahertz, which is the fastest clock speed for anything really in mobile. I don't think you can put anything on a laptop at the moment that's faster than 5 gigahertz, and then 8 cores. So it's just an absolute winning deal all around. So yeah, that's why I go for Xeons and Quadros. There's times when we have bought a couple of systems in our office where we've had GeForce and cores. Like, we built a VR station for the engineers to do design reviews in. So we bought an Oculus Rift S. This was like before the Valve Index came out, but we're going to put VR into the office, and we needed to just power the VR station. And I know that to get good levels of VR performance with Xeons and Quadros, you would need to drop about 10 to 15 grand. Whereas if you go for GeForce levels of products, you can get the same performance for about 3 grand. And that's where I had to kind of draw the line and go, okay, you can't justify that. For this VR station, it's not really mission critical work. Nobody's designing anything on it. It is just design review stuff. People are just walking around the model. It's stuff they've already done. It can't really describe it as playing around with anything, but it's kind of test stuff. So that's kind of where an instance where I did put a GeForce, and it was a 9900K I put in that build. And that was buying stuff from online retailers and then building a system myself and then putting it in. But for standard engineering desktops that get issued out to users, they're usually pre-built, like Dells and HPs and OEM vendor systems. So, yeah. All right, where are we at? We're at 50 minutes in, mate. So, yeah, how many people have turned up? We've got 27 in so far. And I don't know how many are members. I don't know how many you want to chat. I don't know how many can ask questions. I don't know who's who. I don't know what's what. But, mate, just fire away. If you've got any questions, shoot. The rules and the guidelines for the support desk is pretty simple. If you've got questions, fire away. But if the question looks like it's going to be too long and it's like, all right, it might take us like 20, 25 minutes, half an hour to answer that, then it might be a bit too much. Because there might be other people, when the live stream gets more busier, if there's lots of questions coming through, then yeah, we can't really spend half an hour on one question, because then other people would be like, hang on a minute, I had a question, and I had a question, I had a question. You spent all that time on one question. Yeah, it's not really all that fair. So I'll try and keep it quick, and as long as it's within my means to answer something, I'm fine to answer it. But aside from that, mate, this is just chill time. This is just downtime for me. It's like Friday, it's end of the week. It's downtime, it's chill time. Just relax with you lot. So nothing started with iLogic. Still not yet. No, honestly, mate, I'm probably gonna be more inclined to look into Python before looking at iLogic. I don't know why. I've got no motivation to go into iLogic yet. The place that I work at, we've got a requirement to look at iLogic. I know you can. No, I know you can. It's fine. No, but it's a genuine question because I do get asked it, and it's like I've had a battle and a fight with this myself for like years. It's like I know I need to look at iLogic, and I was in the channel, like the Autodesk channel, when it actually came in. I've had 10, 12 years or something like that to get my backside in gear and actually do something about it, but I just can't bring myself to start looking at it. And I've had so many opportunities and so many people have offered help and have like, look, mate, here's an entire tutorial. In fact, at Autodesk University last year, I got given these things here. This has an entire iLogic training course on it. And it's just starting to draw next to me, and I know I should get it out and open it up and sort it out and get. I just can't bring myself to do it. It's like it just keeps getting knocked down on the list of priorities, and the reason for that is like I know it's something that once I'm in, I won't be happy until I'm the best at it, and programming so deep and involved that it'll be a massive time sink. And everything in life will get put on hold until I'm absolutely I can master it. So yeah, it's kind of one of those things. Whereas Python, on the other hand, Python seems to be you could potentially use it in a more broader sense. It's got other uses. If you figure out Python, I could use it in VRED because VRED's pretty much powered by Python. And then you can also write your own applications with Python. Whereas iLogic's iLogic, isn't it? But yeah, like I say, we've got a use for it in our place. Like, we need to start automating our crap in our company. But I'm at a point now, like in my place, where it's like I'm sick of actually doing this stuff. Like I'm ready, and I'm starting to just delegate jobs now to other people, and just spin up projects and get resellers and channel partners to do the projects instead of me doing it. There's only so much one person can do. Comes in handy when modeling from top to bottom. Yeah, I know. It can do pretty much anything. I think the driving force for it, when the selling point for it was like, if you could, anything you can do manually, then you can automate it in iLogic, which is like, it's a pretty good selling point. But yeah, it's just, mate, it's another thing. It was like, oh, it's programming, it's automation, but for engineers, not programmers. You don't have to be a programmer to use iLogic. And I was like, yeah, get the hell out of here, man. Get the hell out of here. You look at it, and it's full of, you need to know if statements and else ifs and thens and stuff like that. Of course, you need to know all the syntax and that to do something with it. If you start in iLogic and you try to create something and you can't create proper syntax, the whole thing just doesn't work. So you do need to understand programming. So that whole drive at the beginning of iLogic about you don't need to be a programmer, you flipping do. Of course you do. It's easier now. Of course it is. Like the interface that they've got. Well, I don't know what they call it. There's a word for the programming interface where it gives you feedback as you're typing in. Visual Basic's got one. I don't know whatever they call it. It's not just a text editor. It's a bleh. Nah. I don't know, whatever they call it. It's better feedback and it calls up commands better than IntelliSense. That's the thing. Yeah. That's better. But still, you still need to know what you're looking for. You still need to know that you can look for something, that something's there. But yeah, use iLogic to reduce workflow time using templates, user forms. Yeah, I don't know. I think where I would use it, if I could would just probably be for standardization of new products, like a product configurator maybe. Generating new designs from existing ones without having to manually do stuff. Because our company creates huge subsea vehicles. It's not like, it's not small products and mass-produced stuff. It's project-based stuff, and the end deliverable is a bigger vehicle, and that's defined at the start. So in a lot of cases, things can't really be automated or based on a template, but there are a lot of stuff that we should be standardizing, and there's a lot of stuff that should be better. And to be honest, like there's a lot of stuff that I battle with. Like there's a lot of areas within the company I work with which you think that shouldn't. How's that bad, Neil? When you work there, and I'm like, yeah, no, yeah, it shouldn't be that bad. But I've for the most part, when I've been there, I've been like the Vault guy. I've not really focused on making the Inventor systems that much better. I've been hyper focused on Vault projects for the most part. But yeah, there's room for improvement. Mate, you can request videos now if you want. Just fire away. This is complete chill. This is complete informal. We've got probably a couple of hours. Probably at about 6 o'clock, mate. I think 6 o'clock UK time, and then I've got a meeting with. Oh yeah, actually, I suppose I can go into this. So one thing I'm doing, right, is I am working on. It's very, very early days, but I'm working on creating my own benchmark tool for Inventor. And actually, this meeting's got nothing to do with that. Yeah, this meeting's got nothing to do with that. I don't know why I even said that. No, this meeting, this meeting's for digital. So I'm also, in addition to working on my own benchmark tool, which is something completely separate. I can talk about that later. I'm also creating my own training courses separate to YouTube, which I haven't even started yet. I haven't even figured out how I'm going to do that, where I'm going to host them. But there's a lot of demand for like my own full structured training courses, which are way too big for YouTube. Like you couldn't even host them on YouTube because they'd be too big. Kind of like what I did on Pluralsight. So I'll host them somewhere else. But then I want some kind of like digital badge or something for finishing them. So I've got this meeting with this guy to talk about that afterwards. But yeah, I'm also working on a benchmark tool as well for TFI, which that's a long story. I've been working on that for a couple of months. Benchmark tool development, Inventor bench, solve that. It's kind of like a complementary to Inventor bench in a way. It's going to be more Autodesk wide, so it's not just for Inventor. It's going to be for the entire Autodesk portfolio eventually. It's going to start with Inventor, but it's going to encapsulate like a lot more stuff. Inventor bench has been great. It's been an awesome tool. It's done an amazing job. It's kind of went a bit stagnant. I think the developers are great. He's done an awesome job. What an absolutely awesome job that guy's done. And the benchmark tool itself has picked up insane traction since it got going because it's so useful. There's a lot of interest in it, and it just does a good job. Ultimately, it does a good job, but we're at a point now where there's such diminishing returns at the top end of the hardware spectrum. You can go from, I don't know, even going from a 4th gen i7, like a 4790K, the Devil's Canyon i7, which was running at 4.6 gigahertz-ish. You can go from that up to an i9, and the returns are very, very small. I mean, you're talking, when I had my i7 47, like 4th gen i7, I was hitting about 13, 14 on that benchmark tool. And the i9 9900K is like 14, 15, 16 on the benchmark. It's just like, in that the run-to-run variation between tests is kind of 1 to 1.5 points. So it's getting to a point now where the test is so limited because it's kind of diminishing returns now. So I thought and I think because I've spoken to the guy and I've expressed how limited it is. It's single part only. It's too light. You need to encapsulate assemblies better and do a bit more. And he knows that, but he works in an Autodesk reseller, and he's quite busy. He's been working on for quite a while, creating like a version 2 of it, but it's never actually materialized. It's never actually came to light. So I just decided to start working on my own, which it's quite far down the line now. We are quite into it, and the end goal of it is for it to not just be for Inventor, but for it to be for most of Autodesk's flagship products. So watch this space for that one. It's nowhere near ready for release yet. It's still I haven't even got a copy of it myself yet. It's still with the developers. I've got working with a Autodesk Development Network partner. It's still with them. I'm still feeding them what I wanted to do, test scenarios, having calls with them to talk about what I wanted to do, how I wanted to work, and then they're doing that, and then hopefully soon they'll give me a first pass of it, and then we can start going backwards and forwards and doing the testing with it. So that's kind of where we're at with that. I'd love to see some tube and pipe and electrical videos. Yeah, mate, that's something that I'm probably not really able to do, especially electrical. That's not my discipline. That's not my area. I'm limited in terms of what I can do with videos. I'm limited to what I encounter and experience day in and day out, and I don't deal with electrical stuff in the office. I don't have any experience with working with Inventor's electrical components and its modules, so there's not really a lot I can do with that. With tubing and piping, I probably could. But I don't know what I can offer beyond what most people... I think what I've found with tubing and piping, and I don't know if this is the case with yourself, but what I found with tubing and piping is most people who use tubing and piping in Inventor, they know it very well. But they come across its limitations. They get stuck with it because it's crap. And it's shite. It's not shite. It's limited. So they hit the limitations of it, but they don't realize that it's the software that's limited, and they kind of think that it's them that's the problem, not the software. So they kind of get stuck, need help, think they need help, but really I think they more just need confirmation that it's not them that's the problem and it's actually the software. So when you go on a training course or when you get that help, all you're really doing is just getting confirmation and validation in most cases that it's not you that's the problem, it's actually the software. That's kind of what I've found in most cases with tubing and piping, people who are getting stuck and think they need help, but I could be wrong. That's what I found. Welcome to Nova and welcome to Loon, mate. Loon. That's Loon's iLogic. Yeah. Got them both here, mate. Loon in the chat. That's his iLogic data set. Loon, mate, if you've got a blog site, mate, just feel free to share it in the chat, because there's plenty of people interested in iLogic, and I ain't doing diddly squat with it anytime soon, mate. So you're the man for it. Loon was a speaker at Autodesk University. He's done a couple of classes on iLogic at Autodesk University. So, mate, if you've got hyperlinks for your classes at Autodesk University teaching iLogic, mate, paste them in the chat. Fire away. You must have a hyperlink to your classes, though, at AU. Feel free to paste them in if you have. iCopy is something that's on my to-do list. I've not used it myself, but it's probably well within my means to figure it out. So, yeah, it's something I've got every intention of looking into. The newest card challenge found it hard to export the actual time on the module that we're not supposed to mention because people aren't supposed to know what it is. To the studio animation timeline seems to cut off a bit. I found it hard to export the actual It's fine. you found it hard to export the actual time to the stereo animation because it seems to cut it off a bit. I don't know, mate. I know. Yes, I know why it's doing that, and that's on you. That's part of the challenge, mate. Yeah, I know exactly where it's doing that. It's part of an import bit, and it's I guess that's. Is it part of the challenge? Because no, it's not part of the challenge because the challenge is just to get it to go down the helter skelter. Yeah, I'll chat about it in the Discord, mate. Speaking of Discord, anyone who's just signed up as a member, we've got a Discord server. I'll post in the community area in YouTube that we've got a Discord server. I'll put a link in there so you can hop on over to the Discord server. I need to figure out where the link to the Discord server is, and I'll put that in there. What do you like and dislike about Inventor 2020 and 2021? I don't think there's anything I particularly dislike about Inventor 2021 or 2020. I don't think I haven't used it yet. We haven't migrated yet in our office. That's a bit of an issue. We're still on Inventor 2018 because of human malware. Obviously I'm using Inventor 2021 when I'm creating videos for the channel, when I'm messing about with stuff. There's nothing really particularly that I've found that's annoying. The home screen, the blinding white flash of light, I kind of made fun of it and poked at it in the What's New video. But that has blinded and burnt my retinas on far too many occasions. I'm not overly impressed with that. But aside from that, there's nothing really that stood out for me, to be honest. You're liking most of it? Yeah, it's so far it seems to be fine. I'm liking something that's came in handy so far is the save notifications. So one of our users complained today that he's got this big data set. It's in 2018, and he's going through and he's trying to clean it up. So he's deleting a bunch of constraints in there, and then Inventor being Inventor and Vault being Vault, it's just giving him a whole bunch of dirty flags on all the files. It's saying, "Oh, you need to save all of these files," and he's like, "Well, why? Why am I being asked to save all these files?" I don't know. And all he's doing is just delete one constraint, and all of a sudden, a dozen files in the tree just say, "Oh, I need to save." So I don't know. So I opened it up in 2021, did the exact same thing, and then you get a notification to say, "Well, actually, there's a migration flag." Or actually, it was 2021, but then there was mass property updates flag against it, and then you get user edits, and then a couple of them had implicit update against it. So that was quite useful. That was good. Yeah, a few good things on it. Have you looked at the tutorial gallery? It is brilliant and completely over. The tutorial gallery. Do you mean the tutorial gallery in Inventor? I don't know if I have. Oh, so there is. No. What's this about then? And who made it? Tutorials last updated. Place installed. Type quick start. No results. It's looking pretty empty, mate. What am I looking for? It's looking pretty empty. Click all available. Okay. Oh, it's quite popular, that, isn't it? Downloads 5,000, 7,000. Create a slide with a solid sweep. Paul, from Paul. Oh, he's been a busy bugger, isn't he? Bill. Installed, you say? Huh. Wow. Okay. So it integrates it with the session and then actually loads the file in for you. That's kind of clever, that, like. And it puts a little arrow up there. Hey, it's almost like someone over there knows what they're doing. Who'd have thought? I like it. So start the face draft command and then select the top face and then you click that. Does it then know that you've clicked the button and then go to the next one? Select the next task. They are kind of clever, like. That's pretty good. Multi-monitor workflows. So is there only 10 of them? Oh, that's just quick start. Oh, 75. I see. Linear drive assembly. Sketch blocks. iLogic basics, you say? I see. Yeah, they were pretty good. I like how it's integrated into the application. That's pretty clever. I like that. You can create your own tutorial. How'd you create your own one? How the hell would you do that? My tutorials. Oh, that's just ones I've installed. Why would you make your own one? Why would you make a tutorial to teach yourself? Or is it to send to somebody else? But then where is it? Where does it physically exist to then send it to somebody else? Any advice for a newbie CAD apprentice? I'm thinking about my future and where I might go into later on my career, yet the market for CAD technicians seems to be shrinking. Yeah. I think CAD technicians have a potentially... right. This is just my point of view and where I see it, right? Going off on a tangent here. So, just from my point of view and from my perspective, in the company that I'm in and possibly the industry I'm in, our company, and to a certain degree, I think the higher level, sort of C-levels and directors within our industry, are starting to ask the question of whether or not CAD technicians / draftsmen are still required. They're not saying they're not. They're just the questions kind of being asked. And the reason for that is because the 3D CAD applications are now an engineer's tool as opposed to a drafting tool now. And also the question is being asked, do people need drawings anymore? Back in the old, like a draftsman kind of started off on a drawing board. It was like, here's a sketch, here's a design, draft it for me. Take a drawing board, take a pencil, take a ruler, take a whatever you use and create a drawing. And that progressed into AutoCAD and then that progressed into 3D. But now we're kind of getting into a realm where you can now put dimensions and tolerances and all kinds of engineering notations into the model. Do you need drawings now? You can encapsulate a 3D viewable with engineering. It's MBD, model-based definition, and tolerance information, and almost everything someone needs to manufacture something stored in that model. So in a lot of cases, not every case, I mean, there's going to be a ton of industries where drones are absolutely, you can't not have them. But in a lot of cases, drones are, the question's now being asked, do we need them anymore? Which is starting to, the spotlight's now getting shone on whether or not CAD technicians and draftsmen are needed. So yeah, I believe the drones will become obsolete. Inventor may be missing important parts, but I think what a lot of companies will work around that. I don't think, if you make it as a company, if you make a decision to move away from drones because it's going to save a huge chunk of time, an Inventor doesn't do a couple of bits of that maybe. I don't think you're gonna decide to not do it because of that. I think you'll find a way to work around it. Yeah, I don't know if we're there yet either. You tend to get a lot of kickback for this sort of thing internally. There's always the guys internally who are like, well, we need a drone. How am I gonna build something when I'm up a ladder on a vehicle, with a screwdriver and a wrench, and I'm looking at a drone. How am I going to do that? What am I going to do? How am I going to check what I'm actually building from? It's like, well, we'll figure it out. We'll come up with something. We'll have a tablet. We'll have something. We're not always going to have paper and drawings, so we'll work something out. We'll figure it out. But yeah, that's something that I think is gonna change dramatically. And I've been asking the question. I've been on the forums and I've been asking not just other companies, but also the likes of the fabricators and the people who receive the drones. Do you want drones? Is that something you want? If you've won a contract to do a build, and historically you've done it from drones, do you want drones, or is it going to be just as easy, if not better? Would it be better for you guys to receive a step file or a 3D PDF or an FBX file or whatever it is to build from? Because then you can open it up in whatever package you use and spin it around, and you can get a perspective on what it is you build, and then you can figure out, you've got some kind of context as to what it is. And would that be better, or do you just want drones? So we're starting to ask that question, but it all boils down to what's happening with that CAD technician. So in terms of the future, I probably wouldn't want to go down that route as just having all my eggs in the CAD technician basket, if I'm honest. But yeah, it's a huge chunk. Because a lot of time on drones, and what we ended up finding is that a lot of drones get generated unnecessarily. There's just so many drones just knocked out for things that you just like, why is there even a drone for that? Someone's just created there's just a plate, just a square with like a length and width on it. It's like, what's that even there for? Why? There's a 3D model for that. Why is there a drone created with a border around it, with a rectangle in there with a length and width dimension? Oh, come on, it's flipping 2020, mate. Well, so yeah, there's a shift in our place. Can't profess to know that that's happening everywhere, but in our place it is. And Lewin's obviously saying that's happening in this place as well. Maybe not ready to make the jump yet, but the question's being asked. And there is a lot of places, I do know of quite a few places that have also asked the question, but also made the jump and moved away from drones to 3D only. Drones will always be required until the current generation of users, fabricators and CNC operators replace the older generation of workers. I don't know, I think, is that not an internal battle for each company? And yeah, we've got those guys as well. We've got the really stubborn people internally who are like, nah, I need a drone. But I'm really stubborn. If someone says to me, no, we're not changing, that's how we've always done it, I'll dig my heels in and I'll stubbornly argue it. I guess it's down to the management. If someone refuses to accept something that's objectively proven to be better, that will save the company time and money and increase productivity, just because they're old and they can't adjust and move with the times, it's probably more of like an internal management issue. But you're probably right. I mean, if that's something that somebody doesn't want to have to deal with, and they're just going to wait for that guy, like those guys, to retire, then sure. You know, if it's easier to do that than not to do that, then sure. But it's kind of one of those things they'll have to do on a case-by-case basis. But yeah. Customers just get the idea when they see a drawing from a model. Customers just get the idea when they see a drawing from a model. Sometimes we've had to send, in our place, we've had to send step files in addition to models, in addition to drawings. It probably depends on how complex the products are, but we've had to start sending step files through in addition to drawings, just to give that context, to show people how things are supposed to work and how they all fit together. Welcome, Ricardo. Thank you for joining. Thank you very much for joining. I need to play my little jingle. I haven't heard him yet. This comes up when a super chat comes through, but I should probably put this in for the new member one. Where's he at, man? Where's he
at? Thanks for watching the video.
I'm such a child. Yeah. Hello, Ricardo. So yeah, anyone who's joining, if you check the community tab after the live stream, I'll put a link in there to the Discord server. All through the last couple of years, since I've had a Patreon account going, we've had a Discord server which has been thriving, mate. It's been absolutely brilliant. So Patreon's going to get closed down eventually once I've moved over and it's all shifted over. And then I'm going to keep the Discord server going, so all members can hop on over to Discord and keep that going, because Discord's been awesome. Love it. So yes, another thing I'm curious to hear about is whether or not anyone's actually interested in these training courses that I'm going to be hosting elsewhere. It's been a dilemma for us, because it's like most people who follow the channel don't need beginners courses. So I'm curious to know what, if anything, a course could be on. So they're not going to be point courses like I need a course on how to do a bolt connection, because that would be a YouTube video. It's not going to be a training course on how to port data from Inventor to Fusion or something like that. It's like they're going to be training courses like how you would go to a training center. And they're going to be based on the official Autodesk courseware. So the first course that I'm going to do is Vault Basic, which is going to be how to install, completely install, and then configure, and then set up and get going on Vault Basic. And then I'm going to do Vault Professional, and then onto Inventor. The reason for that is Inventor is going to be an absolute mission. Oh my God, it's going to take so, because on most classroom courses, it's a 4-day course to do Inventor. So you can imagine trying to do that digitally without any feedback. You're just recording 4 days worth of talking into it. So yeah, I need to figure that out. And how do I structure it so that people are following along, but they're not actually getting any interaction? I need to try and figure that out. So Inventor's going to be a bit tricky. Vault, I can do that. I've done Vault courses on Pluralsight already, so I can do that. But certification prep, right? That would have been perfect. However, Autodesk changed their certification exams last year in November, and so far, from what I can see, they don't have any information yet on certification prep. There used to be a book from the same provider who provides the books for Autodesk's training centers, and they did a book for certification prep, but even they don't have a book yet, which leads us to believe that there is no book for training prep, for certification prep even. But I'm gonna make some calls. I'm gonna get in touch with some people, and I want to see if I can do it, because that would obviously be a hot one. But it's whether or not Autodesk would be willing to play ball and entertain that. For the communication in my university, we use Zoom, or can talk, and also session can be recorded. Yeah, so mate, it's not, so these training courses. I'm intentionally not doing an interactive me in a training room with people trying to code. This is a digital asset that I'm creating. So the idea is I'm going to create a pre-recorded digital training course, which is a product you can buy and then download. And then you can consume and use it as many times as you want in the future. So it's not like it's going to be scheduled on a day and then you attend and then that's it. It's like you buy it and then that's it. That's the plan for that. And it's been quite tricky to set this up because legalities around what licenses do I use for it and stuff like that, which I've had it all clarified and cleared up. So, would I recommend Vault for a single user? Yes, mate. Yes, Vault. Vault. Yeah, go for. God, it's a tricky one. That. Are you using it for just files you're just messing about with at home, or is this you as a consultant creating data as a single user working on projects for clients? If it's project work that you're creating for clients and you're a single user, projects for clients, right? Vault Basics, fine. There's an argument to be made for Vault work groups, because then you can lock the files once you're finished with them. So like if you work on you're working for client ABC, you do a project for them. You've got the data, the drawings, the models are all done. Project's wrapped up. You can then take that area of the vault and all those files, and you can just release them and you lock them, and they're set and they're done. Then you can't accidentally it's just you, so it's very unlikely that you'd accidentally edit them. But if you lock them down, you're minimizing the risk of accidentally editing them. But beyond that, Vault Workgroups, it's in the name. Vault Workgroups is for workgroups, it's for multiple people. The benefits of using it is for multiple people. It's like engineering change, automating bits and pieces. Workgroups is about $350 a year. It's worth it. It is cheap. It is cheap. It's just the benefits of it do tend to fall in line with multi-users that like to change orders and stuff. But yeah, for $350 a year, I mean, what's Vault Pro? Vault Pro's, for the cost of it, it's flipping coppers. Vault Professional. See pricing up to £700. So $700 a year for Vault Professional. So I mean, it's not coppers, but it's not like Inventor money, is it? So what's that a month? 700. I mean, maths are difficult on a Friday. $58 a month. So that's cheaper than my gas bill. So Vault Professional's $700 a year. I really wouldn't recommend you get Vault Professional for a single user, but Vault Basic, absolutely. You would put it. Would you put it on your laptop? If it was me, right, this is the setup I'd go for. If I was a contractor, so this is what I did have. I'd have the main PC that I work on, which is this one here. That's got all the CAD applications on it. and then I'd have a separate system in the corner of the room, and that would be, even though it's not a server, even though it's not physically a tower server as such, you treat it like a server, and that hosts all of the files, all of the data that you want to keep safe. If you want to be super, super, super safe, you buy a NAS box and you can have multiple disks in there and RAID them. So if one disk fails, then the data's backed up and stuff. But put a box in the corner, class that as a server, and then put the Vault Basic server on that. That's the back end of the Vault. That's where all the data that you're creating gets checked into. That's where it's stored. And then you work on your CAD applications on your main PC and you check the data into that server. And then Vault Basic suddenly becomes, that just means if your main PC fails, if like Windows Updates gives you a complete nightmare, your data's safe, it's all on this other PC in the corner. Putting the Vault Basic server on your main PC will work. It's just, if you lose it, if you lose your laptop, you drop it in a puddle or something, do you know what I mean? You have to be super, super diligent with backups. External SSDs. It's not, you can't run the Vault elements, as in the SQL databases and the file store. You can redirect them to an external SSD, but you'll have a flipping hard time. A really, really, really hard time. They're slow, and if there's ever any drop in the USB connection, which it happens, you're walking past your laptop, or the dog or a cat pulls the cable out, it severs the connection to the SQL database from the ADMS console, and that can corrupt your entire Vault. It's happened. It's not recommended to do that. You can schedule a backup every day. If you just want to run Vault Basic on your laptop, you can schedule a daily backup to back the Vault up to an external hard drive. You just have to be really, really, really strict with it and make sure it runs every day. So that's doable. It's doable. It's just, if it was me, I would just have a separate cheap PC in the corner and just treat that as a server. But I know not everyone can do that. Windows Professional or Windows Server. I would just go for Windows 10. Just go for Windows 10. Just Windows 10 Home. I don't think there's any benefit to Windows 10 Pro. Is there any benefit to Windows 10 Pro for Vault Basic? I don't think so. I don't think there is. No, Windows 10 Home should be fine for Vault Basic. I mean, it will only run with those. Vault Basic will run on Windows. I'm confused. You could not say. Oh no. Oh yeah. Vault won't run on a. Yeah. Sorry. Vault won't run on a NAS box, but you can. If you had a NAS box, you can set the back. You would set a backup to run to the NAS box. Is that what I would do? You wouldn't install the console to the NAS box, but you could possibly redirect. You could possibly redirect the databases and the file store to the NAS box. Would that be a good idea? I've never tried to do that. Probably wouldn't be a good idea. But you wouldn't be able to install the Vault itself, the console, to the NAS box, because it's not a Windows operating system, so it wouldn't work. But yeah, it does need a Windows operating system. But yeah. I was thinking of the actual location of the databases and the file store. Windows 10 Pro has hard drive encryption. Home does not. BitLocker. Aye. So yeah, that's what I would do. I mean, you might be once you get Vault Basic, you might be limited as to what you've got. I mean, it's not everyone can have an extra box in the corner or a NAS box, so it is fine to just have everything on one laptop. You just have to be mindful that if it fails, just pretend what would happen if it failed. Make sure you've got a contingency for that, because that's your business. That's everything you've got is on that laptop, and if it fails, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Back up to the cloud. Yeah, that's what I do. I mean, literally everything I own is... Well, not everything I own, but everything that's valuable to me is either in a Dropbox area or on an external hard drive. Like my main desktop here. In fact, funny enough, I've got the i9 10900K turning up today with a new motherboard. So I'm upgrading the entire platform today. And I can just wipe my desktop at drop of a hat. There's nothing on my desktop at all that I'm bothered about losing. There's no files, there's no data, there's no Word documents, there's nothing of any value on this PC. All the applications, because everything's obviously downloaded now, all the licenses are cloud delivered. You can just blitz this PC, I'm not even the slightest bit bothered. Everything that's of a value is in cloud or on Dropbox, which has come in useful quite a few times. So... I'm trying to recreate the helmet of the Doomslayer. What, the helmet of the Doomslayer? What what's the hell? Helmet of the Doomslayer? This sounds... Hang on a minute. Hold the line, caller. I need to Google it. Is this safe for work? Helmet of the... Are you winding me up? Because this is not auto Google filled in. Helmet of the Doomslayer. Oh... Is that the so it's come up with Doom the game? Is that this? Yeah, you're gonna have a hard time with that in Inventor, mate. I mean, where would you get your dimensions from that from? That's good. You're just going to do that. You would have to do that by eye. You got blueprints for it? You got any kind of top down, front, back elevations, or are you just doing it by eye? It's kind of a... It's kind of a weird... I'd say that's probably going to be freeform. You'd start with a freeform, probably a quad ball maybe? A multi-divided quad ball with lots of patches on it, and then just make sure it's not symmetrical, because there's nothing symmetrical. Actually, maybe symmetrical down the middle, down that one plane. And then use an edit form, just sort of pinch it in as best as you can. And then once you've finished edit form, you can just use an extruded surface to cut out that region there. I mean, you're on a hiding and nothing trying to do that in Inventor. You could... It's probably good practice to get used to freeform. Like if you've never used freeform before, if you try to do something like that with freeform, that's how you learn it. That's how you figure out the tools, is to try and model something that's really difficult, and you start hitting the limitations and trying to figure out workflows around it and workarounds. But I mean, that's something like Mudbox all around. That is. That's Autodesk Mudbox. Heads and helmets is what Autodesk Mudbox is all about. You start with a head and you just push. Before you know it, you've got a bloody dinosaur and a weird looking warty cow. There's a course on Pluralsight. My course on Pluralsight's still there. Whether it's free still? There was a free trial period because of all this human malware stuff. Whether they're still doing that, I don't know. I think it might have been just over April. There's a video on the channel from about 2 or 3 weeks ago where I was like, I'm free training on Pluralsight or something like that. And there's a link in the description. If you give that a click, it'll take you to a page. And then that page should be updated based on what they're doing at the moment, whether it's still free or not. I don't know if it is. But I think you get a free, I'm pretty sure you get a free couple of weeks with them anyway. But if it was me, I would sign up anyway. Like if you can get a couple of free weeks out of it, just do it with Pluralsight. Make sure you cancel it before it renews, but do it. It's the best training platform I've come across. And I've knocked back a couple of others, the likes of Skillshare. They approached me once and they were like, "Hey, would you like to be sponsored by us?" And then I was like, "Okay, I've heard of you guys." And then I took a look at their website and it was the worst platform. It was the worst trading platform I've ever seen. If I'm honest, it was awful. The courses were dreadful, like awful. The first course I clicked on Skillshare was a guy just talking about himself. It was like he was selling him. It was like I'm so great. This is why I'm successful in life. And you want to be like me, you got to do this. And I am so great. And then it was just like a referral to his website, which was he was selling a subscription on how you can be like him. Like, well, what the hell? I'm not paying for this crap. And then the next one you jumped to was I went to a CAD course, and it was something that was like a 13 years old CAD video, which the audio was awful, and the instructor was just clearing his throat every 2 seconds, like, sorry about that. Sorry, and he's looking for his mouse, and he's like, right, right, you're going to click here, and then, wow, what is this crap? And it was just video after video after video, just rubbish. So I'm not getting involved with you people. And after being a trainer on Pluralsight and having gone through their actual authoring process and seeing what they do to make sure that the material that goes on their site is good, I can vouch for them. Very, very, very comfortably vouch for them. So Mudbox has a student version. I'ma try it. Yes, mate. It's fun. Mudbox is fun. I think if you've got something to model, it's fun. It kind of gets old if you don't. Like if you install it and you're just like, what is this? Mudbox was like kind of cool back in the day when like I say it was kind of cool. I used to work in the channel in 2010, and Autodesk decided it was a great idea to put it in the product design suite alongside Inventor, AutoCAD Mechanical, AutoCAD Electrical, and Mudbox. So I'd walk into Joe's heavy, hairy-assed fabrication trailer company, and I'd have to demo Mudbox. So I'd sit in front of Bob, the guy with a big, massive wig. I'm Bob, I run this show. And I'd be like, I'm going to show you Mudbox, mate. And you open it up and there's a cow on screen. And the opening template was a dinosaur. And you're like, I think I'll just go now. It was an odd product to put in the collection. Very odd product. I don't know what they were thinking. I think it was like, what do we do with this? We've got Mudbox. Anyone have any idea? Oh, you. Oh. What do we do with Mudbox? Can we use it in buildings? You can't do any buildings in Mudbox, mate. I mean, I suppose you could make a chair out of it, couldn't you? If you really pushed it, you could model a chair in Mudbox. I suppose so. People do. I suppose you could. I mean, people do wires and stuff in chairs, so you could have a. We could come up with a workflow where, that's it. One guy in a team makes the wires in AutoCAD Electrical. Another guy does the metal stuff in Inventor, and then the other guy does the chair and Mudbox. And that's it. And that was their logic for putting Mudbox in Product Design Collection, or Product Design Suite. And it was an absolute disaster. But it's fun. It's fun if you've got something to model, because there's all kinds of tools like Sculpt. I think it's even better if you've got like a tablet or a Wacom pen thing, and you can sort of sculpt and push and pull and flick and all kinds of stuff. But if you've got nothing to model, you kind of open it up and you're just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. So it's like when you've got like an iPad with like an artistic sort of canvas. You're just like flicking red lines and blue lines everywhere, and like I'm just doodling here. I don't know what to do with it, and it gets old quite quickly. But have a play, mate. Have a play. How did I get started using Inventor? I was thrown in at the deep end in 2005? 2005? I was thrown in kicking and screaming. So I joined an Autodesk reseller in the UK in 2004. Based on, and Inventor wasn't all that big back then. It was going. It had been around for like 4 or 5 years by that point, but it hadn't really taken off all that much. And I was massive at AutoCAD. I was a legend at AutoCAD back then. Like I could name you every system variable that AutoCAD had going. I could draw anything with my eyes closed just by typing Cartesian coordinates and just it was genius with it. And AutoCAD was big then as well. And I was into my PCs and computers back then as well. And just put PCs and AutoCADs together, and I was kind of perfect for a reseller back then who was selling PCs, IT support, and AutoCAD. So I joined up, and then Inventor started to get a bit bigger, got a bit more popular, and also Revit was starting to get very popular as well. Autodesk had recently made the acquisition of Revit, and I was kind of getting pushed down Revit's path for some time, but then the managing director of our reseller decided at the time, we can't really support both manufacturing and architecture. We need to make a decision where we're going to go. Are we going to specialize in manufacturing, or are we going to specialize in architecture? In hindsight, I mean, it's not really. This was like 16 years ago now. He ended up selling off the entire architectural business and all of the clients and everything, and specializing in manufacturing, which completely ended any chance of me looking any further into Revit, which at the time was a brilliant idea, and it worked out really well because architecture wasn't that big back then. It wasn't the biggest industry. It kind of is now. It dwarfs manufacturing in terms of software and the whole income for Autodesk and the opportunities in and around that. But yeah, once he'd done that, it was like, right, invent the next biggest thing. And we had 1 or 2 guys in the reseller who knew Inventor, and I didn't. And they were like, Neil, you need to start learning this. And we've got support calls coming through in the support desk that I couldn't answer, and I kept on bouncing them off to this other guy, and he was getting really annoyed with me. He was getting really visibly annoyed with me because I wasn't even trying. I was like really scared of it. I was absolutely shit scared of Inventor back then. And eventually I just thought, I have to sort my life out here. And I can show you what I did to learn it. I've actually got the thing that I did to learn Inventor. It's in pictures. Hang on a minute, I'll dig it up. So I sat down and I modelled something on Inventor from scratch. I didn't get any training, nothing like that. I just sat down and it's not in there. I know where it is. Renders. That's it, right. So it was, there you are, this one here, mate. So that there is that is the first ever model I did in Autodesk Inventor. The very, very, very first one. And that was the laptop I was using at the time. It was the very first laptop I ever had. I was given that, told to learn Autodesk Inventor. And I was like, oh, shit, how do I do it? What do I do? What do I even do? So I just modeled the laptop I was using. And the CD tray comes in and out. That was a little, back then, they had these little ejectable hard drives that come in and out. That came in and out. Decal on the screen. Couldn't figure out how to put the keys on the keyboard. That was a bit tricky. Yeah, that was the render. That was Inventor Studio, kind of back in 2005, 6, something like that. But that's a pretty awful render. But that was kind of the best that Inventor could do back then. It didn't get any better than that. This one was about as good as it gets. So yeah, I just sat down, modeled the laptop, and then just took it from there, really. So after that, it was just starting doing training courses, doing installs, doing demos. Demos is probably what, if you're in a reseller, it's the demos that get you up to speed, because you've got to sit, as an applications engineer, you've got to sit in front of a bunch of potential clients in a boardroom, and you've got to look like the expert. You've got to come across like you're that guy that can answer any question, and you're trying to sell them something, so you need to know exactly what you're talking about and come across as professional as possible. So if you're going to do that for Inventor, you need to flipping well know what you're talking about. And when you're thrown into that situation where you've potentially got to do these sales presentations and demos, you've just got to sit down and just prep. And that was it. It was just sit down and flip and model as much as you can. Just take anything, just look around and just flip and model it. And that was the plan. That's how it all got started. And then that's how I ended up in Vault as well. Vault was the worst, man. Oh my God, Vault. The only time I've ever cried at work was at Vault. I've actually found myself in the toilets of a titanium smelting plant in Wales, crying my eyes out in absolute panic because of Vault. Oh God! The very first time I got sent to do a Vault professional install, it was like, right, you've got to install the item master, you've got to put in builds and materials, got to put in change orders and that, and I didn't even know what an item master was. I didn't know what an item was. I didn't know anything about it. It was just, I was way out of my league, and I just lost it. I completely buckled. Just went to the toilets and just cried my eyes out. Just absolutely panicking, and I had to scramble someone from Newcastle down to Wales to come and bail me out. Oh, how times have changed. Oh, I should have put way more time into Vault. I mean, it hasn't changed a great deal since then, if I'm honest. Like, if you were to open up a version of Vault from like 2007 or 2008, like visibly it's not that different. It's changed a tiny bit of the back end. There's a tiny bit that's changed at the back end. Like you couldn't take Vault 2008, for example, and then run with that. It doesn't have replication. It wouldn't have the security model that you've got today. It doesn't have file rules. There's all kinds of stuff that you'd need that it just doesn't have. So it has changed a tiny bit. It's just, I just don't think it hasn't developed anywhere near at the pace that it should have developed at. But it is picking up. Like they have, and it's all happened. Like this is a good thing. There's always talk in Autodesk of, oh, this is going to change, that's going to change. There's always these initiatives happening. And there was an initiative a couple of years ago, actually probably about 3 or 4 years ago now, where they merged the Inventor and Vault team together, and they were like, right, we're putting the Inventor and Vault team in the same team under the same management, and it's going to make things better. They're going to work together, and they're going to get shit done. And I was like, sure, of course you are. But no, they have. They got put into Derek Cooper, hoops and coops, and shit's happening. They're actually getting shit done. Things are actually happening. There was a couple of slow releases to start with. Vault 2020 was an absolute disaster. There was nothing in that was awful. But 2021 was amazing. Vault 2021 was brilliant. So yeah, there's still a tiny bit to do, like, but as long as the development just keeps going and they just work on the things that need to be fixed. Like a good example of things that need to be fixed was, I made a big deal of this in the Vault 2021 What's New video, was when you release something or you try to release a data set or a set of drones, and there's maybe 100 problems in a released set of data. Back last year, Vault would just say, "Oh, there's a problem," and then it would just die. And then you'd go and fix that problem, and then you'd release the 100 drones again, and it would go, "There's another problem," and you just keep trying and trying and trying. And you just keep hitting problem after problem after problem. You could waste days of your life on this, mate. But in 2021, Autodesk decided, wouldn't it be a good idea if when someone releases something, we just went and checked how many problems there were in this data set and just listed them all in one go so the user can go away and fix them all and then try again. It's like, yes, it's exactly what I said you should do. It's just, they're doing stuff like that now. So we're getting there with it. I got question after looking your videos of VRED. Is the app like V-Ray? No. V-Ray's, I mean, I'm limited in what I know about V-Ray. But VRED is an entire application in its own right. And it does an awful lot of stuff, man. It's a huge application. It can be just a renderer. If you wanted to just be a renderer, you can bring in Inventor data into VRED, import it in, and then make something look cush. On top of that, it does so many other things, right? So after just being a renderer, VRED can be a VR station, right? So you can put on a VR headset and then walk around your products in VR. VRED can also be an online product configurator. If you go to Porsche's website, for example, Porsche use VRED as their, I think they use VRED as their online configurator, but that's what it does. It does streaming to mobile and tablets. It does the likes of VRED Go, for example. It can take an entire scene, models, environment, geometry, materials, and package it all up into a single executable that you can send off to a client, and then they can look at your model from one file without any IP exposed. It just does so much stuff. It's not just a visualization rendering package. It's difficult to use. It's got a huge learning curve, but it's brilliant. And the thing, I've said this before as well, the thing I love so much. If I gone offline, my stream seems to be dead. YouTube just bugged out at me. Am I still here? I'm still here, I think. Am I still here? YouTube just bombed out at me. We're still here. Good, yeah. For some reason, I've got the chat up and the whole thing just went, woof, gone. Yeah, the thing I love about VRED is it's got a massively high skill ceiling. So if you're average at it, if you're just okay, do you know what I mean? You just get by on it. Then you can just get by on it. And the results kind of show that. The end result looks like someone who's kind of just getting by and who's just getting started. But the better you get with it, the more experience you put in with it, the more experience you get with it, and the more effort you put in with it, the results directly reflect that. And it directly rewards the input you put into it, to the point where if you, like, I've spent, I wouldn't even want to put a number on how many hours I've put into VRED. Like hundreds, several hundreds of hours over the years into VRED, just sitting here till, from maybe 7 in the evening till 2 in the morning, day after day after day. Not paid work, just playing with it because it's fun. Playing with cars, just doing a render, just going, that looks awesome. It's a Lamborghini, it's a Huracan. It's a Huracan, and I've just textured it up. Oh, I can sit in it. I could put on the VR headset and I can walk around it. What happens if I change the environment to a nice scene from Prague, and I've got the Huracan in Prague, and I can change the exposure? What happens if I change the wheels to be polished chrome and put a different bump map on the tires and stuff? And just hours just vanish away. But the more time you put into it, the more experience you get with it, the results directly reflect that. And then you, all of a sudden, just like that, you go on LinkedIn and you see someone else's work and you go, you absolute bastard. That looks awesome. How did you do that? And then you're just back in it and you just work and work and work to try and get better and better and better. But the more work you put into it, the better the results are. It's just this skill ceiling just gets higher and higher and higher. Whereas something like Inventor, there's not that skill ceiling. You can, the harder you work at it, it's like the end result doesn't necessarily get better. It's probably just more like time to market's quicker, I would suspect, is what the end result of Inventor is. But within VRED, it's like a visible, better outcome is what I'm trying to get at, I suppose. Is there much work out there for VRED pros? Yeah, it's probably stiff competition, but I can't confidently say every car company uses it, but the majority of the automotive industry will use it for their visualization. Just visualizing the interiors, the exteriors, doing design iterations. What happens if we change the stitching on the interior? What happens if we go for a different paint style? What happens if we change the bumper? What happens if we change the rear wing? What happens to the shadows? What happens to the shape of the body? There's people using VRED for that. But there'll be a lot of competition, because who doesn't, when you're a kid and you love cars, who doesn't want to work for a car company and just play around with fancy pictures? So there'll be a lot of competition for that. But there's what I didn't realize, and after getting kind of connected in with the VRED crowd on LinkedIn, is that there's a big industry for CGI, sort of third-party CGI on LinkedIn. Not on LinkedIn, but just generally within the automotive market, and then sometimes extending out beyond that. So I don't know what they're called. Third-party design or visualization agencies, or I don't know what. They've probably got a name, but they're third parties, independent agencies who create CGI imagery of cars, renders of vehicles, or any products really, but using VRED for other companies, so they don't have to do it. That seems to be a big industry. They don't have, you don't have to use VRED for that. That's where a company can decide, actually, we don't want to use VRED, we want to use V8, we want to use Keyshot, we want to use Arnold renderer in 3D Studio Max, for example. But yeah, that seems like it's a big industry. Yeah, I do wish it was cheaper as well. There's a big gap between VRED Design and Pro. Like VRED Design is like what, $2,500-3,000 a year, and then VRED Pro is like $13,000 a year, and that's like big money. But VRED Pro, that's the one where you get the configurator, you get GPU ray tracing, and GPU ray tracing is that's just changed everything, like massively changed everything. Can you help me to understand how to create the menus that VRED has to change the color of the car view and all that stuff? You mean like when you've got a menu and you can click a button and the car changes color? I haven't figured that out myself. I've got a scene that does that, but that's someone gave me that. You need serious hardware for VRED. Yeah, you do, mate. You do. It will work on lower hardware, but if you're doing it serious work, like you're doing it for paid work, then yeah, you do need serious hardware. It will work on mid-range hardware, like if you've got a, I don't know, like a GeForce 970 or something, it'll work on that. If you've got a 4-core Xeon, for example, it'll work. It'll just be sluggish. It won't die. It won't crash out. It'll just be slow. What it needs is it needs VRAM, probably like 6 gig minimum, really, or else you'll start to hit limitations of VRAM because it's very texture heavy. But and then as soon as you start turning on GPU ray tracing and AI denoising, that's when it starts gobbling it all up. So, but yeah, it is hardware. But that's another good thing. Like with Inventor, you can chuck the biggest supercomputer in the world at Inventor, and it'll perform worse than that laptop I showed you this morning. Because it's just give me clock speed, give me clock speed. That's all it needs. Like I was given the opportunity a couple of years ago to try out something like a 128 core cloud, like an AWS cloud server with like 15 Tesla or some kind of weird cloud hosted GPUs, and I was like, mate, like that sounds awesome, but Inventor's going to run like a dog on that because it's just this massive diminishing return on hardware on Inventor. It's like all you need is just a fast clock speed, and then that's how it works. But with VRED, it just gobbles it up. If you give VRED 10 GPUs, it will eat them up. If you give it a cluster of CPUs in a warehouse, it will eat them up. That's what I like about it. What were we saying about the Genesis? There's an example file called Genesis in VRED. The menus that to change the color of the car view. Right, let's open this up. Right, well, I'm gonna be done in 15 minutes, lads, because I've got this meeting in half an hour. So I'll have a quick look at this, and then we'll wrap up. Automotive Genesis. So is that in examples? That's the one. Got a 1080 Ti on my desktop with a 7600. Used pretty well, but just discovered how much of a learning curve would be. 1080 Ti is pretty good for VRED. They're dated now. Like they're still a pretty good card, but they are kind of dated. Right, so what are you talking about, Ricardo? So there's a menus that VRED has to change the color of the car view. What menus are these, mate? Go to scene. I'm in the scene. What scene? Oh, scene. Right, I'm in scene. Add a front plate. Scene plate editor. Front plate. File is named circular. Well, you're teaching me shit now, mate, because I didn't know about this. Right, there's a file named circular menu. Content type. Where's this at? Content type web. In the folder image. What? Web engine circular. All right, okay. Do I just pick index? Okay. Well, you're teaching me stuff here. Why are we doing this? You're teaching me. I thought you were asking me a question. Right, so we've added a front plate, which is the web 800 by 600, and it's the circular menu. To see the menu, front plates, relative, offset. Is the question, how do you see the menu? Because that size 1, okay. Oh, there it is, right. Well, I just put a big yellow line up the screen. Not done nothing. Position top left, center. Ah! Look at that mad lad. Size mode, absolute. Oh, I like this. Suggest you cancel your meeting, learn some more. Yeah, I'm all over this. Click on this in the scene. Oh my god. That is flippin' friggin' awesome. Well, to answer your question, obviously I don't know what to do with this because I haven't used it yet, but I'm gonna be all over this. I would imagine there's some scripting that needs to go behind this. Using frontal distance of 8.875. There's no. I was kind of expecting there to be some kind of like tooltip. When you hover over it, it would give you a tooltip. No. Ooh. Hell yeah. That's it. So what's the question? How do you change them to be different colors? Is it like, how do you change them to be different colors except red and blue? How do you make your own? Well, mate, let me tell you all about that. I'll probably give me a couple of days. I'll be all over that. I'm gonna have this absolutely mastered in a couple of days because that's awesome. I've seen this before. I've seen people use this menu before, but I thought this was something that they'd customized and created themselves. I didn't realize this was stock. I would imagine that's like, is that just not OCS red candy? It's not in the script editor. Scene plate editor, there it is. Ah, so that's the script. So if I go into that, I would imagine you'd have to create your own script. So you have to go into here. Oh, hello. That's not what I was looking for. Okay, that's a bit weird. So if I go to the folder, my guess is you go to the folder and then Web Engine Circular. You'll have to edit one of these, I suspect. JS maybe is in there. I would imagine the material that it's picking is going to be in here. So what's the name of the material? OCS red candy car paint switch. So I do find car paint. Okay, not in there. OCS. Not in there. Oh, okay, it's not. All right then. Right, I'll figure that one out then. I'm going to be all over that. Love that. Click in the play circle. Do I have to be on presentation mode? Yeah. It's not very... This menu is not very good for like clicking the actual buttons because like the activation points are very limited. Like you can see where the hand turned, the cursor turns into a hand. There's very few actual activation points for it. But yeah, I'm going to be all over that. Right, chaps, there we go. That's it for today. Thank you very much for showing up. I'm going to probably do another live stream on either at the weekend or on Monday, I think. Probably another public one, now that I've got this setup sorted. I'm going to do a continuation of I started a VRED live stream of the Formula 1 Red Bull car, so I'm going to probably keep that one going on. I haven't done that since I started, so I'm going to keep that up. So stay tuned for that. But thanks for turning up. Thanks to the new members. Welcome. Keep an eye out on the Discord link in the community tab. That'll be there in the next 20 minutes or so. I'll put that in there. So hop on over to Discord and say hello to everyone that's already over there. They've been there for a while. So you'll be most welcome. Can you share the model of the F1 car? Unfortunately, I can't, mate. Unfortunately, I can't. It was given to me in kind of, what's the word? Confidence, sort of. It's a game asset from a company that sells it as a game asset. And yeah, it would be breaking their trust if I was to give it out. So unfortunately, I can't. I don't think they created it through legitimate means for the most part. Like, I don't think they've got the actual rights to make Formula 1 branded assets. But either way, yeah, I don't think I can. But once I've done this one, once I've done the Formula 1 car, I'll probably start at one with a model that's more freely accessible. But I just quite like Formula 1 at the moment. But anyway, right, I'll do it. Thank you very much, guys. Cheers, and I'll see you all in the next one, which will be, like I said, at the weekend or Monday or Tuesday. Probably Monday. Thank you very much.